Welcome to sequence number 5. If you haven't yet reviewed the tutorial for Warrior 2 pose, go ahead and do that now. Otherwise, join me in a standing position in the center of your mat. Come to a high lunge, stepping 1 foot forward and 1 foot back, coming up high on your back toes, pressing your back knee back nice and strong, and facing your hips towards the front of your mat. Come to your first Warrior 2 position by letting your hips rotate towards the long edge of your mat and spinning your back heel down to the ground. Remember to keep the space in the front of your hip nice and open and reach your arms out in front of behind you. Focus on pressing your front knee out in line with your toes and try to squeeze your feet together, activating your strong thigh muscles. Keep your hips nice and still as you raise your front hand up overhead and let your back hand drop towards the floor. Look towards your front fingertips and maybe just sink down a little bit lower in this pose. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, come back to your Warrior 2 arms. Pay attention to your shoulders and shift them forward over your front knee, letting your front forearm rest on your knee. Bring your back arm overhead so that your bicep or your shoulder almost touches your ear. Try not to let your front shoulder or your top shoulder rotate down. Keep it rotated up towards the sky, your arms straight and active, so that you're still staying in that straight line that you can press between two panes of glass. From here, keep your torso nice and still while you try to remove your bottom arm like you're reaching for a beach ball over your head. To make this a little bit easier, just stand up a little bit straighter. That'll make it easier for you. Reach your hands above your head a little bit more. Take a deep breath in. And stand up, extending both legs into a star position. In this position, your toes should be pointed out, away from your body, and your arms are reaching up in an X shape. You should be lined up with the long edge of your mat in the star position. From here, squat down slowly with your knees in line with your toes. Imagine you have a bar up above your head. Pull it down towards your ears, squeezing your elbows back, almost as if you could touch them together behind you. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, push back up into your star position. Let's do that again. Slowly squat with your knees in line with your toes, pulling your bar down by your ears, making that cactus arms position. Squeeze your shoulder blades back behind you and rotate your hands back away from the ground. Maybe go a little bit lower in the squat if you can, or even add a couple little pulses at the bottom here for a couple more seconds. Are you pulling your shoulders away from your ears and your shoulder blades back behind you? All right, rise back up to our star position and join me in the center of your mat so we can start the other side. Take one step forward and one step back into our high lunge. High up on our back toes, straightening our back knee. Keep your hips nice straight towards the front of our mat. Come into our Warrior 2 as you let your hips rotate towards the long edge of your mat. Rotate your back heel down so your foot is flat on the ground and extend your arms out in front and behind you. Focus on keeping that knee pressed out to your side in line with your toes and your back knee nice and strong and straight while the front of your hip stays open. Take a deep breath and focus on keeping your hips still while you raise your front arm to the sky and let your back arm drop down. Take a look at your fingertips from here as you take a deep breath in. Breathe out as you come back to your Warrior 2 arms. Shift your shoulders forward in line with your front knee and rest your forearm on your front knee. Bring your back arm up by your by your ear so that your biceps or your shoulder is really close to your ear and your fingertips are in one long line all the way to your toes. Keeping your torso nice and strong here, let go with that forearm reaching towards that imaginary ball, spreading your fingertips and holding strong, keeping your belly button tucked in tight and your butt cheeks squeezed together. Straighten both legs and rise up to our star pose. From our star pose, squat down with your knees in line with your toes, pulling that imaginary bar down to our cactus arm, squeezing our elbows back, touching behind you. Breathe out as you straighten out those knees and reach up to your star pose. Take another deep breath in as we squat back down, maybe a little bit lower this time, pulling our bar down, rotating our hands back away from the ground, squeezing our shoulder blades back as strong as we can, and maybe doing a couple more of those little pulses right at the bottom here. Let's do this for 5 more seconds. Hold here, nice and strong, making sure that you're breathing in and out. Take a deep breath out. As you straighten your legs, I want you to put a small bend in your knee as you walk your hands down towards the ground. Let your head relax here. If you can't reach the ground, you can use a block for support. Otherwise, just put a nice big bend in your knee as you reach the ground here. Shake your head out to relax all your neck muscles. And you can either even shift your legs from side to side. Get all those strong leg muscles to relax after all that work you just did. For our last exercise, I want you to join me in a plank down on your knees. In this position, our wrists should be directly below our shoulders. We should be pressing strongly into the ground, really lifting that point between our shoulder blades towards the sky. Our belly button should be tucked in towards our spine, and our butt cheeks should be squeezed together, curling our tailbone under, and creating a nice, strong, protected position for our spine. From here, I want you to rotate to one side, either one you want to do first. Extend that top leg out, and your bottom shin rotated around to help support you in this side plank position. If this is hard on your wrist, you can always come down to your forearm. Either way, the focus should be on pressing your top hip up towards the sky. If this is pretty easy, lift that top leg up off the ground. For an extra challenge, you can pulse that top leg up a couple times. But don't forget to breathe. And don't forget to keep pushing that top hip up, not letting it sink towards the ground. A couple more seconds. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Coming back to your plank on knees. Find that safe spine position, pressing strongly to the ground with your butt cheeks squeezed together. And once again, rotate this time to your other side. Straighten that top leg long. Rotate your bottom shin so that it's supporting you. Come down to your forearm if you like, if you don't like being on your wrist. Lift that back leg up if that's where you're at, and focus on pushing that hip up towards the sky. If you start to get really good at these, you might want a little bit extra challenge. In that case, you can come up on both feet and balance here in our full side plank. You can even add little hip dips if you get really ambitious. Focus on pushing that top hip up towards the sky. Just 5 more seconds. 3, 2, 1, and rest. For end of the sequence, we'll come to our resting position, whether that be our modified child's pose with our hips shifted back, or our full child's pose with our knees pointed out.